So with the Bayern Munich and Man United losses firmly in the rearview mirror, we look forward to the League Cup where we take on the mighty and recently undefeated Lincoln. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And I think I've done it. I think I've got all of the negativity out of my system. I had a very, very therapeutic live stream last night on the Blue Lounge. Big up Mo, big up Zion, and big up Behind the Dugouts. We had a really good chat. Got a little bit heated at times, but I love that, man. And it was great. It was great. So I think with that, the dust has settled and everything's been sort of the air's been cleared and this, that and the other. And I do generally feel like we can put those losses behind us and start moving on. And obviously next up is Lincoln. Now, the Lincoln game isn't exactly going to be the beginning of our momentum shift, right? You know, if we need to pick up a win that's going to start us winning again, then that's going to be against Brighton. But the Lincoln game is really important in its own regard because whatever happens this season, we have to try and come away with a domestic cup. But guys, before we properly get into it, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so Lincoln League Cup. So here's the reason that we need to win the League Cup this season, right? We have just started to breed a culture of winning trophies at the back end of last season, winning the Conference League and obviously winning the Club World Cup as well. So if we're not going to be able to go for the Premier League this season, which I didn't really think we would, and the Champions League is going to be a struggle, don't get me wrong, you know, we can be a really good cup team, so maybe there's some chance there, but to maintain our winning mentality and breed that winning culture, the League Cup is going to be a really important part of that, right? So last season, Maresca tanked the cups, both of them, the FA Cup and the League Cup. I think it was the League Cup. He didn't even make a single sub in that game that we lost against Brighton. He literally didn't even substitute one single player. And maybe that was the first little view of panic that we get with Maresca's unusual substitution decisions, albeit for a very different reason. But at the end of the day, like I say, man, we need to go into this game and all of these games with a winning mentality, and there's no room to throw any cups away this year because we have to come out of the season with something. I still feel pretty strongly about our Champions League chances. Do you know what I mean? I think that we'll finish the season out with a Champions League spot and it won't take us to the last game to make that happen. But I also think we absolutely have to win a cup this season, and the League Cup is a great opportunity. So, Lincoln. Let's talk a little bit about Lincoln. I would be lying if I said I knew a huge amount about Lincoln, but having looked into them briefly, what I can tell you is they are undefeated since the 26th of July. And that is, you know, impressive. At the end of the day, they are obviously not nearly as strong as any of the Premier League teams because, you know, the difference in the leagues, obviously Championship League 1, so they're a whole 2 leagues down from us. But at the same time, intangible winning mentality and qualities are just as important at the end of the day. And we've already seen it with Grimsby coming back to beat United. And don't get me wrong, United, apart from the game the other day, are generally in much worse shape than we are. But what it did show you is that even against, you know, millions and millions and millions of pounds in your squad and, you know, top managers and all this, that and the other, these teams can be plucky and really, really dig their heels in and try and get something out of the game, right? So we can't go into this game mentally thinking we're just going to walk it, but I do expect a very heavily shifted starting 11 for this game. This is going to be something akin to me for what we did with the Conference League last season, right? The main difference being we haven't got as many games as we did last season in the Conference League that we can do this kind of thing with. So I do expect us to see our B squad assemble, essentially. And I do actually think that's really important because we've got players that need to start getting minutes, man. Like for me, it's absolutely mad. Like players like Garnacho, for instance, and even Esteban to an extent, have really barely featured at the moment, and that is at the behest of other players who are looking tired and leggy and have played a lot of football as well. So what this is an opportunity to give players a much needed rest. Obviously, the Brighton game is next Saturday, isn't it? So that's kind of a decent enough chunk of break, I guess, because you got to think people like João Pedro, for instance, played all of the international stuff, and do you know what I mean? It's just like been lots and lots and lots and lots of football for a really long time. So this is twofold, you know, the the reason to be kind of excited about this game. It's always exciting to see what the bench players can do. Do you know what I mean? The guys that want to break into the team and give them an opportunity. And also, it's just good to know that we're getting a reasonable break for our heavy hitters before we go back into the Brighton game, which, based on how well they played against Tottenham, is not going to be easy either. So as far as team news goes, my understanding is that Cole Palmer is obviously injured to an extent, and not injured where he's carrying that same injury, right? And he felt a recurrence of it during the Man United game. I didn't think we were going to see him for this one anyway, but he definitely won't be available. And we're still without Liam Delap and Levi Colwill. So I think apart from that, the majority of everyone else is... and Dario Asugo, sorry, obviously he got... Which is a shame because this 100% would have been a game that he'd have made. So that midfield situation is going to be interesting, but we'll just have to see how it goes, man. We'll just have to see how it goes. But other than that, I think everyone else is available. Wesley Fofana looked like he picked up a little bit of a knock at the end of the Man United game when he got taken off. But again, I wouldn't really expect him to have played this one either because he's been being tested in bigger games recently. So guys, I'm going to do a starting 11 for this game. And that is the time to remind you that I've just launched my game, the 11s League. I will put the video with the rules at the end of this one. But to cut a long story short, if you are part of my membership, which is active now, you can just go and join that if you want. It's not very expensive at all. We can play a game and there are prizes up for grabs. All you've got to do to play the game is get your starting 11, your predicted starting 11 for the Lincoln game in the comment section of this video before midnight tonight, right? If you do that before midnight tonight, then when the starting 11 is announced tomorrow, I will collate all of that information, put it into a table. We give points. I'm going to be highlighting people in future videos and stuff, and it's going to be going throughout the rest of the season. If you're interested in having a laugh and putting your starting 11 predicting skills to the test, and this would be an interesting one to do that, then come and get involved in the 11s League. Right, nice one. With that said, let's move into my predicted starting 11 for the Lincoln game tomorrow night. So, goalkeeper. Interesting, something actually to talk about with the goalkeeper today. So it's going to be Philip Jorgensen. And I say something to talk about. This would have been who it was anyway, but it's all a bit strange. So obviously Robert Sanchez got sent off against Man United. He is now serving a 3-match ban for domestic games, which includes the League Cup. So Robert Sanchez is unavailable and Philip Jorgensen will play this game. Now, like I say, if Robert Sanchez was available, I would have expected Philip Jorgensen to play this game anyway, but he needs to play it now to get minutes. This is the thing, because Jorgensen hasn't been playing very much recently. So, you know, I know we've got Gaga Slanina, I think it is, another third keeper who's kind of knocking around. But at the end of the day, Jorgensen needs to start getting minutes one way or the other. It's obviously a bit different for goalkeepers than it is for outfield players. Interestingly, this is the first time that I've suggested any other keeper than Robert Sanchez the entire time that I've been making videos for the last 3.5 months. So Philip Jorgensen gets the start, and I'm not happy or sad about it. It just has to be, right? Right back, I'm going to go with Malo Gusto. So Malo Gusto didn't start the Man United game. Reece James did. He did come on a little bit at the end, but we don't really have, unless there's academy products that I don't know about. And I know Acheampong can kind of play out there as well, but I just think with the centre-back situation being what it is, it seems like a reasonable assertion to think that Malo Gusto might start this game. And at the end of the day, you know, that we, as well as all of the changes that we're probably going to see in this game, having a little bit of experience in there is going to be a good idea as well. So for that one, for me, Malo Gusto gets to start at right back. I'll skip straight over to the left back today because that's another reasonably easy one. I know it's probably going to be Jorrel Hato, isn't it? Jorrel Hato has featured a little bit here and there. He's probably not super happy about that because he came from playing a lot in the Ajax team and he's only made a couple of appearances for us so far. But at the end of the day, this game is tailor-made for Jorrel Hato to get a start, and I kind of already nearly rate him at the same level as Gusto, despite Gusto having played so many more games for us. Jorrel Hato is, 2-3 years younger than Malo Gusto, and he's just got buckets and buckets of talent, man. And I am excited to sit and watch Jorrel Hato play football for Chelsea for 90 minutes, albeit not with the proposed starting 11 that you'd expect, but at the end of the day, he looks like a regen of Marc Cucurella with that same attacking intent. He can play in midfield, he can do the left centre back thing, he's a great defender, but he's got a little bit of different physical qualities about him. Obviously, nowhere close to Cucurella in terms of experience yet. But at the end of the day, I've got big hopes for Jorrel Hato being the successor to Marc Cucurella, and I'm excited to see him start this game. Right, so centre-backs. I am going to go with Josh Acheampong, which I think is a reasonable shout because he will get game time this season. He's going to get more game time this season. I think that he played in the Crystal Palace game and we haven't actually seen him since, which I do find a little bit unusual. But at the same time, he was looking pretty good in that. And I think he's going to be the de facto Levi Colwill, Parsi Maguba kind of centre-back. Do you know what I mean? That thing that Maresca really, really values in his centre-backs. Just rearranging my little hat there. I do think the Josh Acheampong seems like the next best option after Tosin Adarabioyo, with Levi Colwill not being available to play that specific role. And we need to kind of maintain some sort of regularity in the system, even if we're going to be changing a lot of the players. So for that reason, Josh Acheampong gets the start for me. So in the other spot, now I am pretty sure that he's fit and has been training with the team. I think it's going to be Badiashile. Now, this is where things get a little bit confusing, truth be told, because I guess you could argue that Badiashile could also play that passing role, and Josh Acheampong actually naturally is a little bit better at that right-sided thing, despite the rant I just went on about him sort of taking over that Levi Colwill role. But if just thinking about how we balance it formationally, man, it doesn't really make sense to put Badiashile on the right side and have Acheampong in the middle, does it? So yeah, actually, I'm going to take back what I said before, and I think Badiashile will start, and he'll probably play the central passing role with Jorrel Hato on the left and Josh Acheampong on the right, which will free up someone like a Malagusto to either invert into midfield or spend more time getting up the byline. Okay, yeah, it's getting a little bit messy this one, but we're changing lots of players, so I'm kind of figuring it out as I go, but that seems to make sense to me. Right, so midfield, and again, this is the choices are based on the idea that I think some of these guys are fit, so we'll start with the easy one. It's Andre Santos. I think Andre Santos actually had a good game against Man United, bearing in mind the situation that he was thrown into, right? Being tasked with replacing Cole Palmer, who was our, most able attacking outlet and until he got taken off. So I'm not 100% sure why that happened, but we're not here to talk about that. But I do think that Andre Santos will get the start in this game. Buckets of energy, hasn't played a huge amount yet, and again, a real opportunity for him to just come in and dominate midfield and show what he can do. So the other midfield pivot spot, again, kind of how I felt about Badiashile. I'm pretty sure he's available now. It's going to be Romeo Lavia. I've got a feeling that there might be like a Caicedo on the bench or something, because we are actually looking pretty light in the centre of midfield because of the Dario Asugo injury, which is a bit crazy. And as far as I've seen, I don't think any of the academy players that are looking to start or get into the team at all are. I haven't seen any deep lying central midfielders yet. So Romeo Lavia makes complete sense. Romeo Lavia is will be the 6 essentially, I would have thought. We always have to be careful with Romeo Lavia. Will he play the entire game? I don't know, but I do expect to see him line up next to Andre Santos in the centre of midfield for this game. Right, so the attacking 3. This is where things get a little bit creative, I guess, but saying that, man, I'm just not really sure. There are really 2 different options that I can see going forward for this, and it kind of comes down to one player. For me, I'll start with the 2 players that I think definitely will get the start, and then we'll go to the one at the end that I do have an option for, but I think it could be either. Starting on the left, it will be Alejandro Garnacho. I would have thought, right, if it isn't Alejandro Garnacho, I don't know what's going on. If he doesn't make the pitch on this game, I think things are crazy. Like, we spent so long talking to this guy about getting him to come to the club. And he just didn't even get onto the Man United game. And it was mad because they were talking to him. They were giving him tactical instruction in the last minute. Maresca changed his mind to put Tyreek George on. Garnacho's got to start getting minutes, man. He's just got to start getting minutes. And do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of people weren't really happy with Alejandro Garnacho. After doing lots of research on him, looking at his style of play, his last few seasons, about how he's, really grown into a Man United team that were categorically on a downward spiral. I'm really excited to see what Garnacho can do once he starts getting some minutes and really integrating into the team. And I think, I thought the Bayern Munich game would have been a good place to start him because I think Pedro Neto's been looking tired recently. I thought Man United would have been another good option to put him on because Pedro Neto's been looking tired recently. Pedro Neto's not going to play this game, so maybe this is Alejandro Garnacho's chance chance to shine. Okay, in the centre of attack, I'm going to go with Facundo Buonanotte. And this, for me, this kind of game is exactly the reason that we got him in on loan. You know, we've got first dibs on him if he has a good season or whatever. But for me, it kind of smacks of a Dennis Zakaria. Do you remember him when we randomly got him on loan from like Juventus or whatever it was? I feel like he is completely a depth option to play in these kind of games. He is still very young, and you know he actually had a reasonably good season for a young lad at Leicester on loan from Brighton last season. But like I say, man, this game just seems like the kind of one that is tailor-made for this kind of signing, at least. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we can't risk Cole Palmer there. There is one other option that could play there. But at the end of the day, to give as many people a break as possible and to see what this kid can do, putting him against Lincoln seems to be the way to go. And yes, it is the right-hand side that I'm a little bit unsure with. Now, I'll put my pick out there first, but then we'll talk about it. I am going to go with Esteval William, right? If Esteval William would have made the 90 minutes against Man United, or even 60, 70 minutes against Man United before all of the crazy changes were made, then I'd be saying Jamie Gittins here. But Esteval needs to start getting minutes as well, right? He's young, and I don't think playing him against Lincoln and then potentially playing him against Brighton would be too much, you know, because we've got a reasonable amount of time in between those games, and he hasn't played a lot recently. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like we've been running him ragged. Like I say, this, you know, and for me, there is still a chance. It could kind of be any one combination of Gittins, Garnacho, and Esteval. But I'm going to go with Esteval because, again, what a great opportunity for him to show his stuff, man. Do you know what I mean? Jamie Gittins definitely needs more time than the other two, as far as I can see. And like I say, man, if we'd have played Esteval in the Man United game, then fair enough, maybe we'd be looking at Jamie Gittins here. But I think everything being what it is, you've got to start getting people minutes, right? And I don't know, man. But either way, I'm going to say Esteval. My actual prediction here is Esteval William. And that leaves the striker, and it's Mark Gue, isn't it? It's Mark Gue. Again, this is what he was brought back for. It's criminal that João Pedro's had to play quite as much as he had recently, because he's looking out of sorts, man. He's looking really, really tired. And he has been marked out of a few games and just nullified quite a lot recently. So, like I say, I appreciate this opportunity for João Pedro to get a break. But also, I do think this is, you know, we saw from the Conference League last year, man, Mark Gue can bang in the goals. He can score hat-tricks. He was like the second or third top goal scorer in the entire competition in the Conference League last season. And that was including having quite a lengthy injury layoff. So I think Mark Gue is going to be really ready for this game. I don't think he'll be too disappointed about the Sunderland loan, because ultimately he's going to get chances. I think he might have, you know, struggled to get, like, for instance, if we had Liam Delap would probably be playing this game, wouldn't he? But Mark Gue will be raring to go, I think, for this game. So, yeah, and like I say, man, people need to start getting minutes. People need to start getting rests. This is quite a heavily rotated team. Other than Malagusto, we haven't really seen any Andre Santos and potentially Esteval William. We haven't seen a huge amount of all of the other guys in this game. But at the end of the day, I am excited just to see what everyone can do, man. And I do like these kind of cup games because it really gives the guys an opportunity to stake their claim, right? Like I say, if we can get a Garnacho or an Esteval on this kind of game, or even Facundo Buonanotte, then they can start being like, look, I can play, this is what I can do. And then maybe they start putting themselves in the thoughts of the manager for some of these bigger games that we've got coming up. We'll have to see what happens. But that is my predicted starting 11 for the Lincoln game tomorrow night. So guys, tell me what you think, man. If you want to play 11sies with me, join my membership, get your predicted 11s in the comments, and I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. So saying this game is a must-win is a little bit redundant, isn't it? Let's be completely honest. And I'll say that is it. Like, it's not the end of the world, obviously, but the press and the news and the feeling around the club, if we don't win this game, if we have a Man United Grimsby situation, we are going to get torn to shreds. Jamie Carragher will rip us apart if we don't win this game, man. Absolutely. And I can't deal with it, man. I can't deal with Jamie Carragher going in on us if we don't win this game. So I know we have to make a lot of changes, but at the end of the day, there's a reasonably large gap in quality, albeit with us putting a lot of our B players out, right? So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. It'll be a fun game to watch either way. I do like, you know, and like I say, sometimes some of these lower league teams can be plucky. They can be really, really plucky, as we saw Grimsby and Man United. So we'll just have to see what happens. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you think in the comments of my starting 11, and put your starting 11s in there as well. Even if you don't want to join the membership and play 11s, get them in there anyway, because I'm just interested to see if anyone else has got any ideas. Nice one, guys. I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.